You know, sometimes the entire weight of a war, it can be found in just a single word. A word that starts out as a compliment, maybe even a badge of honor. But over time, it starts to feel, well, it starts to feel like a cage. Today, we're going to explore that idea, the human cost of endurance and the heavy price of praise. And this is it. This is the title of the piece we're diving into today, and it just cuts right to the heart of the matter. It's a message, a plea, really, from inside Ukraine, asking all of us to think again about the words we use when we talk about their struggle. Because those words, they have a real impact. I want you to just try to imagine this for a second. The year is 2026. It's been 4 full years since the invasion started. 4 years of sirens, of interrupted lives, of a kind of exhaustion that just settles deep into your bones. This isn't a story about the shock of a new conflict. It's about the crushing, grinding weight of it never, ever ending. And this is the word at the center of it all. Resilient. It started out as a compliment, right? A way to praise this incredible, unbreakable spirit. But now, for so many, that same word feels like a piece of shrapnel, a sharp, painful reminder of everything they've been forced to go through. So how on earth did a word of praise become a source of pain? While to really get it, we just have to listen. We're going to hear directly from the people who are living this reality every single day, starting with a librarian named Maria. And these aren't just abstract stories. They represent the true human cost of all this. So first up, let's meet Maria Shatelia. She's a school librarian in Lviv. When her school got hit, not once, but twice, she didn't just sit around and wait. She and a bunch of other volunteers got to work and repaired it. She gets things done. She keeps moving forward. On the surface, she is the very definition of resilience, but that's not how she sees it at all. And here is her plea. And it's so important to understand this isn't her rejecting support. It's a really profound request to be seen not as some kind of symbol, but as a human being, a person who is exhausted, who is angry, and who is feeling every ounce of these 4 long years. And look, Maria is not alone in feeling this way, not by a long shot. This sentiment is being echoed all over the country by people like a sculptor named Danilo. His art and his words, they reveal that same deep exhaustion. And his words, wow, they paint such a powerful picture, don't they? Duct tape and prayers. It just perfectly captures the bitter irony of it all. The world sees this unbreakable exterior, but from the inside, it feels fragile. It feels makeshift, like it's all just being held together by the tiniest thread of hope. You know, this feeling has actually sparked its own kind of quiet rebellion. In Kharkiv, a group of grandmothers found their own unique way to push back against this narrative of constant bravery. And get this, they call themselves Babusi Against Bravery. While they're doing this very tangible, supportive thing, knitting socks for soldiers, they're also using dark humor and sarcasm to kind of defy the cameras that show up looking for a simple story about courage. They're refusing to perform strength on command. And this quote from Mrs. Petrova, it just lays bare that split between the public performance and the private reality. The smile is a tool, right? It's a necessary act for the cameras. But the truth, the raw, unfiltered human emotion, that happens when nobody is watching. So you start to see how this constant need to perform creates this incredibly painful trap for the entire country. It's a paradox, and it sits right at the very heart of their struggle. Okay, so look at this. It's a cruel catch-22. To get the international aid they desperately need to survive, they feel they have to project this image of unbreakable will. They have to perform the very resilience they've come to resent. But behind that performance, the reality is exhaustion, private grief, and this feeling of just breaking in slow motion. And then you have Victor, a fishmonger, who just lays it all out there, plain and simple. He's saying the smile is almost a transaction. It's what's required to get help. But his plea is for us to stop romanticizing their struggle. Calling their survival poetry, he says, doesn't honor their pain. It cheapens it. So, okay, if they're pushing back against being called resilient heroes, then what are they fighting for? Because it's definitely not about giving up. It's about something so much more fundamental and so much more human. You can often see the soul of a nation in its art. And in Kyiv, there's this popular new play called simply We Are Not Heroes. And it's not about grand battles, no. It's about the small, quiet, everyday moments. A family fighting over a power bank, a couple trying to dance in the dark during a blackout.
And after one of the shows, someone in the audience stood up and said this, and it just stops you in your tracks. I am so tired of being inspirational. I want to be boring again. Just think about that for a second. The ultimate goal isn't glory. It's not to be an inspiration. The future they're fighting for is the return of a beautifully boring, ordinary life.
But the cost of this fight for normal, it is just devastatingly high. I want to tell you about Andriy. He's a 24-year-old soldier, and he has been permanently scarred by this war. People call him a hero, of course, but that label, it doesn't do much to heal his wounds. And what he says, man, it's just a gut punch. He doesn't want medals. He wants acknowledgement of the horrific reality of it all. The real victory, he's saying, is a world where no one ever has to be the strong again. The real victory is the day they can finally stop being resilient. So where does this leave us? What is the actual message for the rest of the world in all of this? What are these voices asking from us? It's a really nuanced and incredibly important request. On the 4th anniversary of the invasion, President Zelensky gave a major speech, and people noticed he was so deliberate with his words. He never used the word resilient, not once. Instead, he made this plea: help us end this nightmare so that one day we can simply be. And let's be crystal clear about what this means. This is not them asking the world to stop caring or to look away. It is the absolute opposite of that. Ultimately, what they're asking for is a shift in focus, to move beyond passively admiring their strength and to start actively participating in ending their suffering. It is a powerful call to action, not a call for pity. And so that leaves all of us with a really important question to think about. A question for anyone who's ever looked at a crisis from afar and used a word like resilient. When our praise, no matter how well-intentioned, becomes a burden, how do we need to change the way we show our support? What does it actually mean to stop admiring someone's pain and start helping to end it?